Back, this next story is, I think, pretty interesting. How about this? Student loan delinquencies are still going up as of the second quarter of this year, per the New York Fed data. We're seeing the biggest spike in delinquencies among older borrowers. Younger borrowers, their delinquencies are rising too, but they're more in line with historical rates. What's interesting about this story is that people continue to contract with the government to borrow money for an education, not knowing if there is a job at the end of the agreement that would help the borrower pay off the debt, right? Both the borrower and the lender are in hopes that the borrower does have some way to pay off that debt at the end of the borrowing. So it's like buying a house before you know if you've got a job to help pay back the money you owe for the house, right? So I think there's a lot of folks having this conversation with a lot of high school seniors out there that are taking their last classes in high school as before they go off to college. And I think that this is a great question to put forward to our next guest, who probably has some customers that have that position on themselves. So we thought we'd bring him on the show and hear what he's got to say about it all. Please welcome in Craig Bolanos. Craig, thanks for being on. You might have had to talk, too, with your kids about, hey, if you need to have a student loan, let's talk about it and what you're going to do with it, how much it's going to be, and how you're going to pay this thing back, rather than just jumping off the diving board into the deep end and borrowing as much money as possible with no idea how you're going to pay it back.
Well, Scott, it's fresh for me because we got two kids through undergraduate, one kid through graduate school at Johns Hopkins, and it's not an easy pathway. There's no doubt. There's 1.8 trillion with a T of federal student debts. That's not even the private marketplace. But we have great data on the federal side. That's 1.8 trillion of student debts. That's an average borrow of $39,000 per borrower. That's a truckload of debt. That is the student loan crisis. And Scott, what I talked about with my boys is making sure we understand needs versus wants and understanding the concept of value, because the education needs to have value. And that's really a reflection of price and your resources adjusted to that price.
So, I mean, a lot of these kids will sign up, take out this money, and they really don't have a realistic chance of paying it back, though. That's a problem.
Scott, I apologize.
Right.
There we go.
All right. There's a lot of these kids jump off and borrow a lot of money, and they don't really have a real plan of how they're going to pay it back, because they're going to go into some sort of major that's not going to give them the chance to have a job that's going to be able to handle that debt.
Well, you know what, Scott, I blame high schools. This is nothing more than an educational discussion. I think every single high school should make sure that they're having great venues in their auditoriums and in a localized class setting, where first explain how to get this done, because there's a right way to borrow and there's a wrong way to borrow. Can I give a couple of those talking points to all of the moms and dads and students that are out there? So number one, you're going to borrow in the name of the student first. I want everyone to start with those direct federal loans. The problem is your freshman year, you can only borrow $5,500. That's not going to get it done. Part number two is after you've borrowed in the student's name first, then mom and dad are going to go on an exploratory journey of how to work with the students to get it done next. And I remind everybody, with great pause, before you sign up for your Parent Plus loans, which this year are at 8.94%. That's a 9% APR for a direct Parent Plus loan from the government, plus origination fees. Really take a hard look at whether or not the end product, meaning the payment you're going to make over 120 payments, 10 years, is even going to be feasible based on the TCA, the total cost of attendance, and allow that to be a discussion with your son, your daughter, yourself, to decide whether you've got to do the 2x2 strategy or the 4x4.
What's 2x2 and 4x4?
Well, the 2x2, of course, is, hey, you're going to do 2 years at a public or a junior college, and then you're going to transfer to that school of your choice for the next 2 years. And there's a lot of schools that people don't get into, Scott, right away when they graduate high school, and that could be because it's too competitive. But Scott, there's a lot of people who do their undergraduate work, and I'm sad to say they run out of money or they drop out. So a lot of these great schools, even Ivy League schools, are clamoring for juniors and seniors to go and attend there to get that degree. I think the 2x2 strategy is a great way for Americans all across the globe to get access to that higher education. When I say 4x4, what that means to me is you got got to graduate in 4 years. Too many schools quote graduation rates, if you check the fine print, in 6-year intervals. So
Really?
4 means yes, 6-year intervals, 6-year graduation rate. Scott,
Wow.
we'll talk about it next week again. Here's my comment though. 4x4 means you're going to do a full class load for all 4 years, plus every summer, to guarantee that you graduate in 4 years. Don't be extending into your 5th year. Don't expend to the 6th year. You can't afford it. So while the lifeguard duty sounds great, while working is great, I think investing in education for cheaper cost per credit hour in the summer is the way to do it. And that's where I refer to it as the 4x4. That's 4 years plus every summer to guarantee you're out in 4 years or less.
I mean, that's great advice. And, I never really looked at it that way myself, but if I was king for a day when it came, I mean, you have to be able to have a way to pay those student loans off. I mean, you need to get a good degree and be, whatever your degree is, it has to be able to support it. But I think if you want to be a political science major or a gender studies major, and you want a student loan, I think it should be at 12%. I mean, make it a disincentive, right? Because, and if we need a lot of technicians or IT people, those student loans should be at 1%. We can force people into places that we need them rather than people getting student loans for things that they just can't pay back. You get 10 seconds.
10 seconds. I am so happy that we democratize the ability for everyone to pay for higher education. But when you democratize it without information about what's feasible, you create a 1.8 student loan crisis, 1.8 trillion, by allowing people borrow up to the total cost of attendance, even if they never have a chance to pay it off in the first place.
Wow.
That's what we're going to change and curb, and that'll change the behavior of our institutions.
All right. Great stuff as usual. Common Sense with Craig. Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much, Craig. Craig Bolanos, he's the wealth co-founder and wealth manager at VestGen Wealth Partners in Chicago. All right.